My name is Luis Chavez Mattis, and I am very excited to show everyone a little bit about building AI agents in this hour-long workshop. We're going to be using our platform MindStudio to build some AI agents. Um, while we, Before we get started, couple of favors I need to ask of all of you. One is I really appreciate when cameras are turned on. It really helps me gauge whether or not the what I'm saying makes any sense. I look to all of the folks that are tuning in for feedback. So if you wouldn't mind turning your cameras on, I would really, really appreciate it. The second thing is, as we go through, I'm going to periodically ask, does this make sense? Are you following? Do we need to pause for questions? And hand signals work great. If you give me a thumbs up, that means yes, I understand everything you're saying. Thumbs down, no, Luis, what you said makes no sense. You need to explain it again. So you can give me a so-so, you can make a funny face, whatever you want to do. It's totally cool as long as I can see your faces. Um, the other thing is we will pause for Q&A at certain points. There is a react button inside of Zoom. It's like a heart button that says react. And we use the raise hand feature when we run our workshops. So if you have a question at any point, please make sure you don't unmute and just start talking. That instead you use the raise hand feature and we will call on you when the time is right. So let's try this out. Does all that make sense? Yeah, okay, great. We're getting it. Nice. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Cool. So we are going to get started here. Again, I'm going to teach you in this hour how easy it is to start building AI agents. We're going to be using our platform, MindStudio, to build these agents. Let me share my screen, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview as to what we do. Um, can everyone see my screen? Yeah? Good. Awesome. So we are a platform that lets you build all kinds of powerful AI agents. There are a bunch of folks, interesting folks, that are making all kinds of interesting agents. We have over 400,000 AI agents that have been deployed across small businesses, enterprise organizations, government entities. Um, and we have this visual interface that allows you to set up these really easy no-code workflows in order to do this. And there's a bunch of interesting people that are using our product to make all kinds of AI agents. You can check out our website if you want to learn more. Um, there are a couple of new pieces to the site. Our homepage is not fully updated, but what we're going to be focusing on in this session is the workbench, the visual builder, and a lot of times people compare that product to other automation platforms, like N8N is the one that we got compared to most for this visual builder. You can When people compare the two, they typically will say, okay, N8N is a little bit more like Linux, looks a little bit more technical. You have to go in and configure all of the settings in order to make something work. MindStudio is a bit more like iOS or Windows. It just interface is a little nicer. It's a little easier to use. It's a little cleaner. You have to configure less stuff in order to get things to work, making it faster to actually get things live. The other thing that is unique to MindStudio is that we instantly connect you to over 200 different kinds of AI models from all of the major providers. So that is Anthropic, that is OpenAI, that's Google. That covers not just text models, but image models and video models and lip sync models. We connect you directly to all those models. You don't need subscriptions to those models. You don't need API keys to create connections to those models. And if you have an account with one of those services, you can easily bring in your own API keys to get billed directly via the service instead of via MindStudio. In addition to that, we don't charge anything above exactly what it costs to run those models. There's no markups. to using models in MindStudio versus using models from the provider. It's going to cost you the same amount. And there's a bunch of other interesting stuff on the site here that you can check out. But what I want to kind of focus in on is that you can build all different kinds of AI agents. And when we talk about AI agents, I like to keep the definition of what an AI agent is very broad. We have AI, it makes a call to an AI model, and we have agent. It does something on your behalf. And so, because we use this broad definition, that means that your AI agents can exist in a number of different ways. They can be these AI powered web apps that come with a unique link. And when you open that link, you interact with the agent directly. Um, and it can perform actions in the background as you are directly interfacing with it. You can create agents that run autonomously, meaning on a regular schedule, like every morning at 9 a.m., do this specific task for me. You can create agents for our browser extension. And this is primarily what we're going to be focusing on today. You can see here on the right-hand side of my screen, there is this thing here, and this is the MindStudio browser extension, the Chrome extension. And inside of the extension is a dock, and in that dock are a bunch of different AI agents that I have built and pinned. And so when I browse the web and I'm browsing on different websites, I can simply click on this magic button and it does a bunch of work for me using the content from whatever web page I am currently visiting. Um, the other thing is that you can have these be email triggered, meaning your agent gets a unique email address. You can forward any emails to your agent. It's going to get all of that contextual information and be able to process it somehow with AI. And then for more technical folks, if you are using third-party services that allow for webhooks, you can run these agents using a webhook. I have an example of this is I have a Notion automation that sends a webhook with information from my Notion table to the agent. The agent does some processing with that information from Notion. Or you can also run any agent via an API endpoint, meaning if you're building a custom app, you want to run these agents on the fly and have MindStudio handle the AI intelligence portion of whatever custom application you're building, you can definitely do that. And lastly, all of these agents can be made available to other agent harnesses or chat clients for MCP tool use, meaning you can make a bunch of agents that act as a library of tools for Claude or for ChatGPT or whatever chat client allows you to connect via MCP to MindStudio. So there's a bunch of stuff on the site. The last thing I will say is that we are venture backed. To date, we've raised $36 million dollars from a bunch of interesting people. Those people work at Google. They used to, run Disney. They worked at LinkedIn, and a bunch of venture capital funds that all believe in what we are building here. So if you are interested in learning more about MindStudio, check out all of the awesome pages on our site. MindStudio also has a bunch of different capabilities that we'll look at. So if you want to check out the full list of capabilities or you want to check out the full list of AI models and get information about those models, you can explore the website under our product tab here and check out, information about that particular model. So I'm not going to bore you with more intro stuff. Let's go ahead and get into the practical. We're going to be building a couple of different AI agents today. The first is an AI agent called TLDR. Now, for those that don't know what TLDR means, it means too long, didn't read. And a lot of times people will include a TLDR at the top of their articles. What this agent does is it can take all of the content from a specific page here. So this, for example, is a website that is talking about movie going and what the last 100 years of movie going has looked like and trends. And this is like a really long article. It's got a ton of information on it. And even though I am interested in the the topic here, I don't really want to read all of this. And so I'm going to open up my browser extension and I'm going to simply run my TLDR agent. So I click on the magic button, the side panel of MindStudio opens up and it begins processing all of the information on the page for me. It extracts all of the key learnings from this page and separates it into a nicely digestible format that I can then read through. So that includes, decline in movie going, common myths and why those myths aren't true. The real story comes down to different demographics, gives us a bunch of historical context. All of this is based off of the content in the page, makes it really easy for me to understand and know the key takeaways on this page. And the browser extension agents also work inside of YouTube videos. So, for example, I have a podcast here with Neil deGrasse Tyson called Star Talk. And they always talk about very interesting science subjects. And I get sent a bunch of different podcasts all the time. Some are for business, some are for fun, and I don't have time to watch all of them. And this podcast is 42 minutes long. I've gotten podcasts that are upwards of 3 hours long. And even if I uh, watch those podcasts at 2 times speed, I still wouldn't have time to actually go through and watch all this stuff. But I have my agent that can give me this information very quickly, right? So I can click on my TLDR agent. That side panel will open up. It will take the transcript of this YouTube video. So it's essentially like going into the description here, clicking on show transcript and then copying the entire transcript here, using that as context, and then generating, my key takeaways. And notice how I'm saying key learnings, right? And key takeaways. I'm not saying summary. I don't want a summary of what's happening. I want to get the information that I actually need to know from the content that I'm looking at. And that's a really important distinction here. So in this case, they talk about, you know, energy generation and physics of motion and acceleration, and I can read through all of this and then decide, oh, is there something that I want to double click into? Like, do I want to look at a different section here, right? And so this is super useful, right? This is a instantly useful agent. I use it all the time on web pages that I'm browsing. Um, and it's even though it's extremely powerful, it is actually really easy to build. So I'm gonna build this live for you. I'm gonna show you a little bit about the MindStudio platform, and then we'll be able to make a couple of these. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to my workspace. This will say sign in or get started if you've never made an account before. And once you create an account on MindStudio, you'll be taken to this Learn page where you can find a bunch of different articles or you can find learning resources. We have like a 101 workshop or an image generation workshop. You can sign up for an upcoming live training because we do all sorts of free workshops for folks. And underneath there is this thing called My Workspace. And this is going to show you all of the different AI agents that you have built. Now, this is going to be empty if this is your first time using MindStudio. And so to create a new agent, you click on Create New Agent here at the top right. What happens now is you get taken to the works like the workbench, the MindStudio IDE. And you'll see this welcome screen at first. This has some, resources to learn more about building or sign up for a boot camp or a training. We can exit out of that by clicking on this tab at the top. You see there's these tabs. And this is actually what's important here. What we're looking at is the workflow. And you can see on the left-hand side, we kind of have this file structure. And under workflows, we have main.flow workflow. So that's what we're looking at right now. At its core, all AI agents are simply just workflows. They are a sequence set of actions, and as part of some of those steps, we make a call to an AI model in order to process that information with an LLM. Now, keep in mind what we are building is this TLDR agent. And remember when we were talking a few minutes ago about all of the different kinds of agents that you can build, you can make that determination and decide what kind of agent you're building by clicking on the start block here. All workflows, by the way, work in the exact same way. They all have a start block, which initializes the workflow. They all have an end block, which concludes the workflow. And then there's everything in between, and we can add all kinds of different blocks here. In fact, if we click on View All Blocks, we have over 180 different capabilities that all do different things. Some of them deal with AI, like these generate blocks, which can generate text and images and videos and speech, and they can lip sync videos together or analyze images. We can route our workflow in all kinds of different ways or get data from uh, to use as context for our AI models in all kinds of different ways, including from from a user by using these user inputs here. We can access all of our Google Suite, which is super useful. So I just sign into Google and now I can bring in Google Docs and Google Sheets and my calendar and my Gmail and all that good stuff. We can transform text and media in various ways. So if we're building, content generation pipelines, we can use all of this functionality to clean up our text or our videos. We can send emails and text messages and post to Slack. And if you want, you could even connect MindStudio to other automation platforms. Like we don't care. We just want to be the AI portion of an existing workflow. So if you're already working inside of Zapier, N8N, or Make, that's totally cool. You can run MindStudio for the AI part of that workflow. You also can pull in data from various social media companies and Telegram and Discord. We have enrichment tools for people searches, right? So if you want to find somebody's email, you can do that. If you want to find where a person works or enrich company information, you can do that. We plug into a bunch of services as well, right? This is new also. You can now capture payments inside of agents. So you can create these kind of mini SaaS products for agents that you build. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. And then in addition to that, we have this things called connectors, which are direct connections to a bunch of different services online. And each of these do a very specific action for that particular service. Basically plugs into that API and you don't have to worry about, the actual API call. We kind of help you with all that. So you can check out the full block list. But first, what we need to do is make sure that we can use our agent inside of the browser extension. And so, as I was saying, we have the option to select the type of agent that we're building by configuring this run mode. Right now it's set to on demand. That will essentially give us a like a website we can go to and interact with the agent directly, but I want to run it in my browser extension, in my Chrome extension, so that when I'm browsing the web, I can easily get all the learnings from whatever content I'm looking at. So I'm going to change this run mode from on demand to browser extension. And when I change it from on demand to browser extension, you'll notice that I get these things called launch variables. Now, variables are a very important concept to understand in MindStudio, and they're also really easy to understand. When we think back to our grade school algebra class, we learned about variables. We learned about x equals something and y equals something else. And variables work in the exact same way in MindStudio, only in this case, you know, each of these variables represents something different, right? URL, for example, represents the URL of the website we are currently browsing. And similarly, this variable page content represents all of the text content on the page. So it's like as if I went to this page, pressed Command A, and got all this text and gave it to my AI model to process. So we're going to be using this page content variable, and we're also going to be using the most common block in MindStudio. This is the generate text block. And the reason this is the most commonly used block is because this block makes a call directly to an AI model, an LLM. And the generate text block you can see it has an area for a prompt, which is the set of instructions that we give an AI model. And we can call our variable and give the AI model the information it needs by using these double curly braces. So this is the key above the enter key on your keyboard. It's where the square brackets are. So you hold shift, hit that key twice, and now you get this menu of all of the variables that are available to you. So we're going to use this page content variable because that represents the text content on the page. And a good practice for those of you that are familiar with prompting AI models already. If you're not doing this, you definitely should. It's called tagging. This is a kind of a best practice when you're prompting an AI model. And the reason we tag things, it's basically like adding labels inside of your prompt for different parts of your prompt. Um, the reason we do that is because this is a lot of text, and we want to make sure that the model doesn't get confused between the contextual information and the task instructions. And so we're going to add some tags. These are called XML tags, but again, you can write whatever you want in here. They're just labels, and I'm just going to label this as content. And these tags use these angled brackets and and then the one at the end has a slash. So this basically means everything in between these two tags is content. It's not instructions, it's just the content that we want you to analyze. And then we can give it some instructions, right? So I'm going to say extract all key learnings from, and then we can reference the label content, right? And that's it. That's all we need to do to build our AI agent. That's all we need to do to get this awesome output from the agent in the right-hand side here. Um, Now we just need to finalize our agent, right? And again, like I'm seeing kind of chatter. This is not code, right? It looks a little like code, but it's just a label. And we need to use this like special slash to say this is the end of the content. Um, So let's finalize our agent. We need to give our agent a name. So we can click on this top folder and uh, here we have our agent name. This top folder opens up all of your agent settings. And we don't need to pay attention to all this other stuff. This is all extra. You can dive deep. What you need to know is that this is where the name is. So we can give it a name. I'm going to call it demo TLDR. And then we'll give it an icon, and I can go to whatever website to find an icon. I like to use flat icon. It's got a bunch of images. I'm going to use the fire emoji and see what pops up. Awesome. We've got, yeah, whatever. This works fine. We'll use this. And I'll download it. We've got a free download. I'm using it for personal use, so I don't need to you know, pay for this at all. And then I can simply upload. You can see I was playing around with like a bunch of images here. Um, but I will simply just upload this icon into the media here. And now I can hit the publish button. And when I hit the publish button, our agent is now becomes live. I can then open it up, and this opens it up in a new tab, but you can see that this is not the right interface. This was designed for the Chrome extension. So if you don't have the Chrome extension at this point, you can click on Add to Chrome. This will take you to the page. And then what we need to do is we need to add it to our dock here. So right now it's not appearing in the dock, but if we use these three dots, we'll get a bunch of options, and one of those options is pin in extension. So I click on that, and now the next time I open it, you can see it's there now. Now it's available for me to click on. I can now run it by clicking on it, and the magic happens, right? The AI gets all of the contextual information from the page because we passed it in via the page content variable, and it begins generating its output, right? Its response here. And again, this also works inside of YouTube videos where now we have that demo TLDR. And again, the same thing happens um, on the right-hand side where it pulls in the transcript from this video. So it's literally that easy. And I'm showing you this agent, right? We didn't do all that much work to build this agent, but the reason I'm showing this to you is because this build pattern where is the most foundational build pattern of all AI agents, right? You bring in, it's three parts. You bring in data from somewhere. In this case, we're bringing it in via the browser extension. You process that information with AI, right? Using a generate text block or a generate, image block or whatever it is. And then you do something with that data. In this case, we're displaying it back to us, right? So using this pattern, you can now unlock hundreds and hundreds of different use cases, right? Let me show you an example. I'm going to use this exact same pattern and make a completely different agent. So let's say I wanted to build a stock analyst. Like let's go to Yahoo Finance and I want to just find, here are the trending tickers. GE Aerospace is the top trending ticker right now. So let's open up GE. We get all this information. I'm not a stock guy. Like I don't know about any of this stuff. But I want to know like is it a good time to buy this stock, right? I don't know. It's going down. Does that mean it's going to go back up? Like what does all this mean? Um, well, I can just really quickly create a new agent using this exact same process, right? I have the start block. I change that to say browser extension. And then I can add a generate text block, which helps me process the information with AI where I feed it in, where I'm going to give it, instead of content label, I can label this as a stock and we'll include using those double curly braces, that page content variable. And then I can say extract key learnings from stock. And we can get more detailed with our prompt, right? We can give it more instructions. I can say, in particular, I want to know whether or not it's a good time to buy the stock or not, right? There we go. We finished building our second agent, our stock guy, right? So I can then go in and give it a name. I'm going to call this, I'll just call it stock guy. I got a stock guy now. And my stock guy has an image here. Maybe I can I'll type in stock guy and see what comes up. Oh, not stock buy, but stock guy. Well, whatever. Buy, sell. This is a great icon. I'll use that. We'll download that icon. We'll upload it to my media library. And just like that, I can now publish it. Once I get a link, I can open up the agent and pin it using these three dots. And now my stock guy appears in my doc here. There we go. I can click on my stock guy. It's going to analyze all the information on this page and it's going to, give me some recommendations, right? Here's the current snapshot, positive indicators, right? All the strengths. Here are some concerns we should be looking into. The valuation's really high. The verdict, wait or dollar cost average, right? So there we go. There's our verdict for this stock. We should either wait on it or we should, dollar cost average. I don't know what that means, but we will, we can figure out what that means by doing a Google search, right? Now, let's let me give you like a big asterisk to this, right? I am not a finance person. Like, I do not have the domain of expertise to make the determination as to whether or not this information is correct or not. But if I were a finance person and I did have that information, I could simply add that contextual information into my prompt. And so I want to hammer this point home to everybody here is that you are the knowledge expert of your own domain. You are the most well equipped to create AI agents that solve your own problems, either your own personal or business problems. You have that knowledge, right? And so by updating this prompt and adding more information that's relevant to the output that you're looking for, only you're able to provide that specific information and prompt the AI model in the right way. So you probably already have a bunch of ideas of, oh, I really wish I didn't have to do this piece of work that could be automated, takes like 30 minutes to an hour of my day every day. You can now automate that using this simple pattern, right? Go through this spreadsheet and tell me which items, like who are our top listeners today, or whatever that thing might be, right? That thing that's kind of tedious and takes a long time. You can now get AI to do that for you. The other thing, so there's a bunch of use cases here, right, where you can create all these kinds of different automations. But there are some people who are like, I don't really care about automating my life. I want to generate stuff. I want to make cool images and videos with AI. We can do that here as well. I want to point you to a couple of different places. The first is this ready to use agents section, and the second is this images and videos section. And this images and videos section, let me actually zoom out a little bit. There we go. This images and videos section has these agents that you can start using immediately, right? There's image tools here like this composer, right? And this composer agent essentially will create a whole photo shoot taking a bunch of different angles using one original image. And it comes out looking amazing, right? Like this is like all these images have visual consistency, they have character consistency, and they have different angles. Like they're very creative in their shot selection, right? Like some have motion blur, some are like high angles coming from the top of the tennis court, or this one here with the snowboarder, like used a sample image, right, of a snowboarder, but all of these extra pictures were all generated using AI, right? Wide angle lens, through this like rock formation, and it all looks really, really nice, right? So you can actually go through and on any of these agents, for example, this auto shoot agent, which is essentially like a photo shoot generator, you can go in and make a copy of any of these agents to see how they work in the background. Let me start running one, and then I will show you kind of how it was built. And let me clean up my tabs here too. So this auto shoot agent, you essentially just upload a photo, right? So if I wanted to, let's say I wanted to pull a photo of, you know, Michael B. Jordan, just won the Oscar for Best Actor, right? Let's use this image here, and let's do a photo shoot with Michael B. Jordan. I'm going to save this image. And in auto shoot, I'll upload Michael B. Jordan's photo. And like I said, you can enable agents to have these kind of payment portals. You can also, I'll show you how to make a copy of the agent so that you don't have to actually, pay on the platform to use the agent. But I'm going to go ahead and just hit the pay button so that it starts working. And it's going to analyze that reference image and start creating a whole photo shoot around that headshot that we found. Now, for anything that you find inside of MindStudio, there's going to be, I'm an admin, so it's not appearing here, but there will be a button here that says make a copy. Mine is right here. It's in this three dot menu. It doesn't say make, but you'll find this button says make a copy. And this will actually show you exactly what goes on behind the scenes for how this agent was built. So it's actually a really great learning tool to figure out different builds, right? And so you can see here that this agent, it looks like a lot, but if you go through step by step, it's actually not that much, right? It has this thing called a user input, and the user input is basically like this, just like a form field, right? You saw the user input when we ran the agent. The user input, if we open up the draft, is just this. This is what the user input is. It's a button. It says upload photo. It has a custom interface, meaning the person who made this agent had like vibe coded the interface itself. And when you can actually modify the interface of this, right? So I clicked on here it said interface custom at the bottom right, and I clicked on edit, and it opened up the preview of this interface here, right? And so now I can say I can just prompt it and vibe code something new to make it look different. I can say make it look like 2000 2005 website like the Matrix. I hit enter, and it's going to go through and it's going to update the look and feel of this. It's going to do all the coding for me. We can vibe code the custom interface to brand it for our own personal use, um, and make it look like whatever we want it to look like. And once it's finished coding everything, might give it a second to show you the output so that we can see um, that it actually does a pretty good job. You'll see in just a second, but it's able to take very minimal basic instruction and actually make something look really cool with it. Um, okay, let's go. I want to show you this output. Let's check on our auto shoot. So you can see here, this agent is it created a shot list, and then for every shot it's generating a unique image, and then it's storing those images, and it's gonna show us all the images once it's done generating all of them. And this is what our new auto shoot looks like, right? Looks like the Matrix. Awesome. We can make it look as weird or as polished as we want it to look. So that's what the user input block does. It collects a payment, and then it takes our reference image and it analyzes it using an analyze image block. This is also just an AI model that takes in the image, right? It says the provided reference image is part of a professional photo shoot. Analyze the image and deduce uh, what the higher level photo shoot is about and what the purposes and objectives are. There's a whole prompt that goes in here that's more sophisticated than my extract learnings prompt. It then goes and just prompts an AI model again using that information, says, hey, take this analysis of the image and generate a shot list of other images we can use, right? And then this block will run a sub process. It doesn't have to be linear. You can run these like extra processes that essentially goes through and generates each individual image in that shot list. We then capture the payment, and then we have this final screen here that is a this gallery interface, right? It allows us to get this final output, right? So you can see here we have this original image, but we also have, these other images of um, Michael B. Jordan at different angles, right? And it will even give us the full prompt for how it generated that image. Some of them are good. Like this one looks nice. Some of them are not so good. But you get 8 of them. This thing costs a few cents to run, right? That's a nice photo. All pretty good. And that's what this final gallery looks like, right? And you can also, this is vibe coded as well. You can edit the interface of this gallery too, right? Using that same exact interface. So the point I'm trying to make is I'm not trying to show you how to how this thing was made. I'm trying to show you that you can go into any of um, the different apps, or excuse me, the different agents in this section or in the ready to use section, and you can make a copy of any agent in here. For example, this deep research agent, that's like this super complex workflow, or at least it looks complex until you start reading it. You can make a copy of this. You can tweak things and try things out, and you can make unlimited copies of them so that you can try new things out without, without risk, right? Um, so I'm going to stop there, and I want to address a couple of different things that people typically have questions about. One is, how do I know what all of this, how do I know the costs associated with all of these different actions on the platform? This is all viewable inside of two places. One is the service router, which is this like amazing analytics tool that shows you all of the different agents that are running and how much they're costing you, right? So, for example, I can see here, I can filter it by agents or individual models. So it looks like I'm using Claude 4 Sonnet a lot, or even users if I have a team of people. And then you can see the live activity dashboard. Um, the other thing is inside of the agent itself. So if I go to my drafts or maybe created by me and I look at my stock guy, for example, there's this thing called the debugger. And the debugger is awesome. It shows you every single thing that happens in when your agent is running, right? And it looks like a lot of crazy text, but I promise it, once you read it, it makes sense, right? Don't just look at a wall of text and go, "Oh my gosh, this is too complex," right? Because it's not, right? Each header is separated by block. So you know this is the start block, this is the generate text block, this is the end block, right? And you can see here that what happens is we send in, this is our prompt here, right? Here's our stock, get the learnings from stock. And then it inserts the page content variable into this thing. So now we have 1,400 words that we work with. And then it generates the output here. And we can see how much this individual step cost us, right? That analysis cost us 2 cents. And therefore, the total run cost us, 2 cents, roughly 2 cents to get this stock analysis, right? So you get a breakdown of all of the costs associated with it. The other thing that a lot of people ask about is, what if I have my own subscription? Can I connect my own provider? The answer to that is also yes. If you go here and you go into the router and click on settings, you can see all of the different integrations that you can connect to, as well as all of the different models. And each of these models, you can add your own custom API key. So if you have an Anthropic subscription, you can click on custom key and you paste in your API key. And then all that does is it Anthropic bills you instead of MindStudio, but the cost is the same. But so you can do this for all of our different providers. You can also, if you have a model on your own machine, you can run models locally by using this thing called the model tunnel. So there's a bunch of interesting stuff here. And the purpose of this was to just show you how easy it is to get started, right? I showed you kind of the beginning of the spectrum there. And then we kind of looked into other agents so you can continue learning and seeing how things are built. We have a few minutes left in this workshop. Really quick, I want to gauge like, did this make sense? Are there any questions? If there are, feel free to raise your hand, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I'll look in the chat as well. Oh, Josh, did you notice any questions in the chat?
Yeah, there was a really camera was off. There was a really good question that I said I'll save for live. Does MindStudio have evals or for performance of the agent? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can, in an agent, there's this thing called evaluations. So this allows you to run test cases for in different kinds of scenarios. So an example of this is, let's say I had an agent that was meant. to analyze comments and determine whether the comment was positive or negative. This is something that computers are really bad at, like just coding really bad at, agents actually really good at, right? It'll analyze the comments, say this is positive or negative. So we can feed in like 50 comments and then as test cases, and then give it an expected result and see if that result matches, right? It'll actually run through each of the comments, and you can do that here. You can also test out individual AI models using this tool called the profiler. And the profiler essentially lets you select different models side by side and see what the outputs are. So if I wanted to test Claude 5 Sonnet versus O4 Mini, I can give it a prompt, write a story about a dog, and see what it generates, right? And then I can evaluate it based off of a bunch of different criteria. How much did it cost? What was the latency? How fast did it produce its output? What was the quality of the output? I and you know, uh, what is the context window? Like how much data can I fit into it? So you can see side by side, O4 Mini generated a shorter answer, right? Claude looks like the story looks more like a story, right? It has blocks and then it has one moment everything changed on a single line. So it has kind of that artistic quality to it, right? So that's and you can run these like as many models as you want side by side to test things out. Similarly, inside of your generate text block, you can choose a different model at any point. So you don't have to run the same model for every step in the workflow. Every individual step can actually be a different model because certain models are really good at certain things, right? So you can choose the model that works for the particular step in your workflow, right? Um, yeah. Any other questions that you saw, Josh?
Yeah, there's a lot more coming in. I think something interesting that we're excited about is, can we use the agent locally? What is the cost then?
Yeah, so using this thing called the model tunnel, I'll pull up the uh, oh, actually, I don't have that tunnel page live yet. We have this thing called the local model tunnel. And the model tunnel is essentially a tool that lets you plug MindStudio workflows either into your local model. So if you are, for example, running an image generation model on your own machine using your own graphics card, that means you pay zero for image generation, right? That you don't pay anything. You can just connect to your local machine, have it generate the image, send it back into your MindStudio workflow, no problem, right? Um, or you can develop locally using models on MindStudio in that same fashion. Like it goes both ways. So if you are building something on your end and you want to leverage MindStudio models to do that, you can do that as well. Um, the other thing that I want to draw your attention to, there's a bunch of harnesses. When we talk about harnesses, we think of like the model is like in this analogy the race horse or the carriage horse. And a harness is like allows you to steer it in whatever direction. So we think of harnesses as like OpenClaw or Claude Code, and those harnesses are really they can do a lot, but they also are lacking in capabilities. And you can also expose all of MindStudio's capabilities to Claude Code, for example, and give it access to all of the skills that are available inside of MindStudio. So an example of this is you might want to generate an image. Well, Claude Code can't generate an image. Claude Code can't send an email for you. It needs to actually build the infrastructure before it can do that. And so MindStudio, you can just say install the MindStudio plugin, give it this prompt, copy it into Claude Code, and now you have access to like all of those blocks inside of MindStudio, all of those different capabilities. And Claude Code can now leverage all of those. So it can use that generate image block inside from MindStudio in order to generate the image. It can use the send Gmail block to automatically send Gmail messages and things like that, right? Um, all of that becomes instantly available via what's called strong typed code so that um, your Claude Code instance gets a bunch of new skills and capabilities. And so that's something new that's super cool that we're really excited about. Yeah, so I see a question about boot camps and wanting to learn more. Obviously, this session is really fast and I covered a lot in 1 hour, right? There's a bunch of pathways from this point forward. You can start building on your own. You can actually get started and try things out for free on MindStudio. You just pay for the usage costs of the AI models, like whatever that would cost for you. And you can get one agent, start building one agent absolutely free, get access to the whole platform, try things out. If you're interested in learning more, you can learn on your own via our documentation. I've compiled, if I didn't annoy you in this hour and you can tolerate me talking to you for a little bit longer, I have a whole video course um, that explains how to build AI agents step by step. We go through all of the different all of the different features that are available on MindStudio. This is a little bit outdated, but it's a great resource to start learning how to build on your own completely for free. We also have a Luma page where we offer tons of free workshops. So we do, let me see if I can find, oh yeah, thanks, Josh. Let me open that page up. So this is a boot camp, of course, but we also offer like tons of free workshops as well. If you go and find our events calendar, you can find a bunch of other different workshops in here where we talk about AI image and video generation specifically. We have a bunch of like mini boot camps where we cover, how to use OpenClaw and how to use Claude Code and how to use all these different tools, getting caught up on AI in general, because there's just so much happening all the time. Everything's changing every week, and like even I sometimes like can't process all the AI news that's coming in every single day because the pace of innovation is exponential, right? Um, and then uh, if you're someone who wants to like is like, I know all this stuff's here. I know I'm not gonna do it on my own. I need somebody to hold me accountable and to walk me through everything. Myself and our CEO Dimitri do offer a bunch of boot camps where you get to spend a significant amount of time with us. You get to ask us questions directly. We'll teach you all the ins and outs step by step. And then out of that, you get a certification and you get this giant portfolio of agents that you can then showcase. We've had a lot of folks that have gone through that boot camp that have had, they basically go through the boot camp, start posting on LinkedIn, start posting the things that they're making, and get speaking opportunities. They get job offers. We've had a lot of success with folks that have gone through the boot camp. Um, that I didn't expect. Like we just started it kind of as like a way to teach people. And then people were reaching out to us afterwards and they're like, "Hey, like I am now the AI person at my company. Can I need more of your time and more help from you guys?" And we're happy to help as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple of folks who have been through the boot camps here. Um, if you guys want to talk about it, I feel like it's more impactful coming from you guys than it is coming from me. If you have a second, wouldn't mind speaking about it. If not, this will be very embarrassing, but that's okay. You can just take my word for it. Okay, no worries.
I will
Um,
say I did have one question. So I
sure.
I did the 3 hour boot camp last Friday and it was way over my head and I couldn't apply
That
any of it because it was like Claude Code and OpenClaw. I thought the messaging it seemed like it was going to be more starting out and more beginner focused. So is the 1 day boot camp more focused on like start to finish versus advanced?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. That 4 hour session is kind of like a high level. session talking about all of these tools so that we can understand like what they are, generally how they work, and like how to architect stuff, right? It's not like step by step, like here's how you install Claude code and here's how you type your first prompt. That's the kind of stuff Dimitri gives us the 30,000 foot view of like what's going on in AI. That 1 day boot camp is you will spend like 8 hour. It's a full 8 hour day, but I take everybody through how to build their first agent step by step, including like some of the stuff we covered here. We talk about like prompting, how to prompt an AI model like for the first time and like how you send prompts and things like that. And we build, I think we build 7 agents in 1 day, to show you how to get data from different places, how to process that data with AI, how to use the MindStudio interface to like actually get some agents off the ground. So if you do want that kind of experience, the 1 day boot camp is the option. And by the way, Caroline, thank you so much for that feedback. Like I actually thought that the last couple of times we've run it, I've thought like, hey, like I'm not sure how people sometimes at the end of the session we'll be like, "What'd you think?" And like nobody says anything. And so I really appreciate you speaking up, and telling us like how you felt about that because I had my suspicions that it was like we need a little more practical instruction in that boot camp for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like really great for like advanced AI
Yeah.
or like if you have any kind of coding knowledge, but I'm on the creative side of marketing, so I'm trying to see how to
Yeah.
leverage the AI agents to where it makes sense for me. But I mean it sounded informational and he knows what he's talking about, but I'll have to look into the 1 day.
Thanks. Yeah, for sure. I'm also like I kind of fell into this a little bit. I studied like creative producing for film and television. So I started out in the same boat and just over time just like practice and like spending time in it and trying to build things have learned, how all this stuff generally works. And I try to do my best in the boot camps that I run to not rush through things and to make sure that everybody who goes through those has the time they need to understand all the concepts that we teach. Tim, you have a question?
No, I was just going to say that the 1 day uh, I don't code much, and all your questions get answered. He walks you through everything. If you've got an idea, they help you build it. It was a good solid day, and you get the time you need. Plus, you get everything written down afterwards.
Thanks, Tim, for sharing your experience. I appreciate it. Um, all right, folks. We're at our hour. I really want to take a moment and thank you all for joining. I really appreciate your time. I know your time is valuable, and the fact that you chose to spend an hour with me today, even though you have no idea who I am or what we do, I just really appreciate it. And so, um, I'm really hope to see you around in other workshops, maybe in our Slack channel or any of our other channels. Feel free to reach out anytime. Have a great rest of your day, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. Take care.